Well, let's do this then.
You know.
Need to reload. Oh, no, you don't.
Shoot it between the eyes!
Just a minute there.
We've gotten a good look at the Back 4 Blood open beta, so now it's time to assess whether there's potential based on what we've seen. In my opinion, after almost 30 hours of play, I am certain Back 4 Blood will have a lot of mixed reactions from players if Turtle Rock Studios can't figure out how to explain their systems. For example, the open beta did a poor job of helping people understand the card system. I don't know if Turtle Rock withheld explanations so they could see what would be the biggest questions about the system, but whatever the reason, what was there created a lot of confusion and negative conversation. I think the card system is a great idea to shake up the formula and make it relevant in 2021, but without a tutorial, people were making up their own ways to play. So let's go back to the card system, for example. The AI director is the one pulling the corruption cards. If you didn't play Veteran or Nightmare, you didn't get a good sense of how this system actually works. And really, the way the system works was best shown off in Nightmare difficulty. So corruption cards modify the map in various ways. They will add fog, turn off the lights, add snitches, increase armor on special ridden, and a number of other things. Once the AI director has played their cards, it's your turn to figure out how to counter it with the deck you've created. What wasn't specifically stated in the game is that the order you put your cards in your deck is the order they're presented on your card selection screen. This allows you to guarantee your first free card is whatever you want it to be. Will this system stay that way in the final game? I don't know. I would assume yes, but we didn't get that in the open beta. What we got led to people to just throw their cards in any old way because they figured what they were getting was randomized, which that's a reasonable assumption to have. Turtle Rock kind of describes the interaction of the AI director and the player as a card game. So you make a deck and you see what you can do against the house, basically. That's what people were thinking. But because people didn't understand it, they either built a deck relying on chance or built a deck on deck building principles. Once people began understanding how it worked, people found putting the combat knife at the top of the deck to be the most optimal move since it seemed to be necessary. That's the kind of response Turtle Rock wants from players, but it shouldn't take us collaborating on Discord and Reddit to figure out these systems. This isn't Destiny 2. This is a highly reliant team-based game. Now, this is a good opportunity to segue into the presumed pacing of Back 4 Blood. Like I said, most people would say starting with a knife is a must. Based on my experience, yeah, I'd agree, but I don't agree for the same reasons. The reason why the knife is necessary is because people weren't playing the way Turtle Rock is intending, which I'm going to say is not necessarily our fault. Most people played Back 4 Blood pretty aggressively. The goal was to get to the end, triggering hordes be damned. So having to deal with so many hordes in the early game, it'd be foolish to not have a knife, right? But after playing through Veteran and Nightmare, I can confidently say Turtle Rock Studios is actively trying to force us to play a lot slower and safer. Most players are playing like this. When Turtle Rock actually wants us to play like this.
This way. Well, let's do this.
Enemy contact.
Let's do this.
If you're not trying to trigger hordes, you don't have to have a knife start, and you can save that knife for another great card you'd rather start with. Here's more evidence why I think Turtle Rock wants us to play at a safer pace. The trauma system. Trauma is irreparable damage. The only way you can heal trauma is with a med station. So why would Turtle Rock include a trauma system when it can be so easy to get traumatized and so difficult to repair it? Because they don't want us playing recklessly. The goal is, the more trauma you take on, the less overall health you have, which means you should play less aggressively. Now, some would say trauma punishes mistakes, and it punishes too harshly. And I do think there's an argument there, and that's certainly worth exploring. But I'd say trauma is a system that punishes irresponsibility. This slow, methodical pace, that's the way Turtle Rock wants us to play. Yes, there are some times when doors are connected to an alarm system and it's the only door that you can go through. How fast you're playing doesn't make a difference. Guess what? Someone or someone's need to carry a toolkit. The Lots of Birds corruption card was pulled. Guess what? You gotta play and shoot cautiously. 10 to 20% damage resistance and 15% trauma resistance isn't enough to allow you to play aggressively. Everyone needs to play slower and take more care about prepping for each level. This is the way I imagine Turtle Rock sees us playing the game. So why weren't people playing that way even though Turtle Rock is trying to encourage that in the design? It might be because that's not what people want to do. That's not the game people want to play. Or maybe they didn't understand what was going on, or maybe they didn't understand the mechanics. Maybe there's a dissonance between the slower moments with the moments that forced us into frenetic action. I don't know. There's way too many reasons for us to speculate why, but it's clear the open beta didn't communicate Turtle Rock's intention clearly enough to us. The concern here is if Turtle Rock should make room for more aggressive styles. We are amongst the Call of Duty generation where everything is fast-paced and frenetic, and even post Left 4 Dead life, where everyone has mastered the game, so they feel like they can aggro their way through Back 4 Blood. So this is a design choice Turtle Rock has to figure out. But I think what will help determine a wider range of playstyles is the cards that are available in the final game. Because I have a feeling the cards we saw in the beta are not the final set of cards available. If that ends up being the final set, then yes, it's clear Turtle Rock doesn't want people to aggro their way through the game. And if that's the case, you have to make up your mind if you're okay playing that way and if the game is still worth playing or buying. Now, let's talk about difficulty. If you didn't at least play on Veteran, you didn't get a proper experience. I'm not of the camp that Standard needs to be harder. Standard is fine. That's just to get people into the game. What there needs to be is a difficulty that bridges the gap between the balanced gameplay of Veteran and the nearly impossible Nightmare. Here's the way I see my benchmark for difficulty. For an online game, you should be able to get through the toughest difficulty with randoms. You can't do that on Nightmare. Part of that comes from people not understanding the pacing, like we talked about earlier, but also because it's so freaking hard. But what I loved about Nightmare was the corruption card variation. So if we could get more Nightmare-like corruption cards on Veteran without increasing the damage of the zombies, that will make a great difficulty addition. Veteran has the right balance of zombie difficulty and enemy placement, but the corruption card variation was shallow. It was not very exciting to play through multiple times. So as of right now, the way I see it, based on the open beta, I think online players are going to make or break this game. And Turtle Rock will certainly have some culpability in how the online community plays this game. If Turtle Rock doesn't make it clear that Back 4 Blood is about pacing, not aggro, that it's about teamwork, if they can help people understand the card system so people can maximize their potential, I think a good portion of the online players will be pretty good to play with. But if not, we're going to have what we mostly had playing this beta, and that's simply not sustainable. Back 4 Blood launches on October 12th for PC, Xbox consoles and Game Pass, and PlayStation consoles. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing, as I am now working on building up our reviews and previews for this channel, so there will be more where this came from. Tap whatever thumb you feel appropriate, and I will talk to you later.